There's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity on LinkedIn right now that you genuinely can't afford to miss. Because if you've seen the rise of short-form content on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts, then there's a good chance you know that the early adopters who capitalize on those platforms made millions, simply because they were quick to them. And as we speak, LinkedIn is starting to roll out short-form content. So not only is it a brand new platform, but there's a huge gap in the market for good short-form content. And you, watching this right now, can easily fill that gap and potentially make millions. Which is why, in this video, I'm going to give you the exact method that all the biggest creators are using to create viral LinkedIn Shorts. So you can just copy and paste this system. And throughout this video, I'll be handing you all of my algorithm hacks, content creation frameworks, viral formats, production processes, metrics to track, and everything when it comes to making viral shorts on LinkedIn. And first things first, you absolutely need to understand the algorithm so you have a foundation of what works and what doesn't. Only then can you actually create content on demand that performs time and time again. But unlike other platforms, LinkedIn rewards professional value above all else. You can't just post whatever you want and get away with it. Your posts have to be intentional. Now, it's all very well me telling you that your posts have to be intentional, but with that information alone, you'd be no further ahead than you are now. Which is why, after hours of searching through LinkedIn and applying all of my viral formulas from Instagram, no matter what direction you take, it has to start with metrics that count. And there are only 4 metrics that LinkedIn actually cares about, and they're as follows. First, we got watch time. Not only is it a direct signal to you that the information provided in your video was valuable, but it's also a signal to the LinkedIn algorithm that your video is keeping the users on their platform for longer. And therefore, it's a video worth pushing. Because let's face it, if you post a video that's incredibly boring, no one's going to continue watching. And therefore, if no one's watching, then it's in LinkedIn's best interest to not push your video to more people. Don't worry. Later through this video, I'll show you how you can actually optimize for watch time so this never happens to you and your videos. Second, most creators won't tell you this critical secret, but early engagement is the key to content success. Ultimately, this is like sparking FOMO for the algorithm. Because if your video starts out the gate and instantly gets great watch time, comments, and reactions in the first hour, then your post essentially sends an early signal to the algorithm that is one worth pushing to a much larger audience. And therefore, the video's runoff time between little to no views and hundreds of thousands significantly decreases. Next up, we got saves and shares. Now, this essentially just signals to the algorithm that the info in your video is valuable enough for someone to rewatch it, or that it would appeal to a much larger audience who are also interested in the same topic. Finally, we have click through to your profile, and this essentially indicates authority. For example, take a look at this post from the master of business content, Alex Hormozi.
Money, looks, connections, intelligence, all of those things can help you win. But there's one thing that if you only had that thing and had none of these 4, you would still win, which is the desire to improve.
This succeeded because it was super watchable to the general viewer, and therefore, the watch time was fantastic. It's also super relatable, which is why this video didn't struggle to get saves or shares. Which brings us to section number 2. Now, at this point, I've analyzed hundreds of viral LinkedIn Shorts, and they typically fall into these categories. First up, we have tactical tips, and this is actually what that Hormozi video falls under. And to make this even easier, there's 2 types of video that typically fall under this category. The first type is focused towards how-to or step-by-step tutorials, such as Hormozi's How to Become Confident video. And second, we have data-driven videos. This is essentially just adding either the time saved, percentage increase, or a numerical figure at the start of your video. So for example, if your niche was business and you started a hook out as this sales email template got me 85% response rate, that would fall into category 2 out of our tactical tips content type. Next up, we've got quick industry insights. And to make videos in this category, you simply have to mention the name of the industry or profession within your hook, which could be as simple as saying, here's what most business owners get wrong about sales. Of course, that's a profession example, but if we were to take the industry approach, it would look like this: the truth about e-commerce that nobody talks about. Now, our third content category is one where you have to have pre-existing leverage and results to be able to even make it, for the simple reason that it heavily relies on your skills and expertise. For example, starting a video out like, here's the exact system that doubled our agency revenue, only really works if you have those specific results to back up your point. Fourth and finally, we have my personal favorite, contrarian takes. Now, these work so well because they take a negative standpoint. And on social media, those that master using negative emotions to their advantage always see much faster growth than those who don't. I mean, just imagine if I called your cooking flavorless and dry as I'm pretty sure you'd have a much bigger reaction than if I complimented it. The same theory applies to social media. And by far the easiest way to use this content type is by taking a common practice in your niche and adding a negative somewhere in the hook. So for example, if I started a video with stop doing email marketing, do this instead, everyone interested in email marketing would stop and watch to find out what exactly they're doing wrong. Let me show you some real life examples of these. Now, the 3 common themes that make all of these videos perform so well is the fact that they have specificity in numbers and outcomes, which makes the claims so much more believable. They also all focus focus on solving one clear problem, not multiple in such a short space of time. And finally, they use industry-specific language to show expertise. It really is that simple. And that brings us on to stage number 3, the framework for making viral LinkedIn shorts. Now, you can look at hundreds of videos and spend hours dissecting them and turning them into frameworks, or you can just use this one that I've already put in the work for. First up, every video has to start with a hook, which, to put it simply, is just the first 3 seconds at the start of any video. Now, within your hook, you have to start with a pattern interrupt. This can be as simple as using a rapid zoom in or out to get the viewer to stop scrolling, or something simple as using text on the screen like this video did. Now, your hook is practically pointless if you fail to make a bold claim, which is why going back, using negativity to do just that can always be your best bet. And finally, make sure that within your hook, you present a clear problem with a curiosity gap. For example, if I was making a short form video and growing my LinkedIn, then my hook would sound something like this. Most LinkedIn posts fail because they make these 3 deadly mistakes. That way, we've made a bold claim, told the viewer what the problem is, aka we use a negative emotion in the hook, and also opened up that curiosity gap by not telling them what the 3 deadly mistakes are yet. Now, once you've got your hook done, we can move on to point number 2, or as I like to call it, the value bridge. This section should typically be around 5 seconds long and should include a preview of the solution you're about to deliver within your video. For example, simply by saying, and after helping 100+ clients go viral on LinkedIn, I've cracked the code. It backs up the point that we've just made in our hook and also gives me, as a person on camera, much more authority. Okay, so once you get your hook and your value bridge done, we can move on to the make or break section of any video, which is in fact the content structure. And to keep things simple, we have to focus on one topic for each and every video. And a prime example is this short, where I'm talking about how to create a shot list. I kept it so it's the only topic. This therefore means the video can be kept as short as possible. More importantly, it meant that I could also make sure each point revolving around the shot list is actionable. Now, this is crucial if you want to see those saves and shares happen like we spoke about earlier. And our final point for each and every video is the call to action, or CTA. This is essentially our chance to ask the viewer to take some kind of action. And there are a couple of CTA types. First, we have the directional CTA, and this is where we ask the viewer to directly do something within LinkedIn. And that can be as simple as asking the viewer to save or asking for a follow. But the one we like to use the most is called a soft call to action. And this is essentially where we go from directly asking the viewer to do something to hinting on them doing something. For example, that LinkedIn video, if we use a soft CTA, it could have been something along the lines of this. And if you found this video helpful, then my recent post will do the same. See how I didn't push the viewer to go to my recent post? I heavily hinted. Now with a script written out, naturally the next step is to, well, record. But the technical aspects matter more than you think. And trust me, the optimal format, shooting style, and editing techniques are all things that will actually determine if your video flops or succeeds. So what your videos absolutely need to do is have the following. First, to make sure that you got the most optimal format, just make sure that you're filming vertically. Or in other words, the 9:16 aspect ratio. Next, now as much as I love long form content, short form videos, especially on LinkedIn, perform the best when they're in the 30 to 60 second runtime range. And if you're unsure as to how long your video is going to be, just use this free website to determine that for you. Now, I'll keep these next 2 points short and sweet, but you just need to make sure that you have a highly contrasting background and that your captions are always on. Second, your shooting style. Now, as simple as it sounds, you have to ensure that you're making direct eye contact with the phone or camera lens and that your head's staying fairly still for your talking head content. Finally, what you're wearing on camera truly does matter. Remember, you're a professional in your field and therefore you need to dress like one. First impressions count, so you don't want to wear a scruffy t-shirt, but at the same point, don't overdo it. Finally, to master your production, we have the edit. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk you through how to create these crazy effects like I do in my videos. First and foremost, because they take hours of practice. And second off, you're probably a busy entrepreneur looking to enhance content over on LinkedIn. So wasting hours on effects just wouldn't make sense. But what I will do is show you how to crank up your engagement with just a simple editing technique that literally anyone can do, and it's adding dynamic captions to your videos. This is for the simple reason that 80% of everyone on social media actually watches short form content without the sound on. Therefore, if your videos don't have dynamic captions to keep every single viewer watching, you're shooting yourself in the foot before you even hit post, regardless of the platform. And this is going to be a bit of a shameless plug, but Submagic actually has around 25 different dynamic caption styles that you can automatically put on your video with just a couple clicks. If you want to try Submagic for free, the link's in the description. Now, after you've spent time ideating, writing, shooting, and editing, the last thing you want to do is have it be dead on arrival because you posted it at the wrong time. Let's look at how you can mitigate that risk. And I'll keep this nice and easy for you. There's really no need to overcomplicate this. The best time to post on LinkedIn, or any social media platform for that matter, is typically 9 to 11 a.m. local time. And from countless articles, they've also found that posting on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday is the best for your videos. Really quickly, I want to show you some of the metrics that you should be looking at so you aren't completely in the dark. Because if you're watching this, there's a decent chance that you're more of a results-driven and data-minded person. And the last thing you want to do is just send videos off into the ether and pray that they do well without really understanding what actually determines that and how you can adjust it in the future. Track these metrics for each short. Views at 1 hour, engagement rate, profile visits, new connection requests. That way, you know that your viral shorts are performing. But if you followed everything in this video, you should have a pretty decent decent grasp at how to actually make content on LinkedIn that goes viral. And one final piece of advice would just be to simply make a swipe file of all the content you watch that stops you from scrolling, and refer to that swipe whenever you're making new content to get fresh ideas from. So everything in this video was specifically for how to grow on LinkedIn. And if you're growing on LinkedIn, you'll probably also want to grow a presence on Instagram as well, because in this day and age, attention and trust is the #1 currency. So click here to see the next video where I show you exactly how to grow on Instagram, how to get the best results on your time, and how to hit the 10,000 follower mark as soon as possible. I'll see you over there.